I've written a bit of blurb, so just read it out. Okay, I'm particularly interested in the connection between the wealth generated by the cotton industry in Manchester and the collections that we see in the region's museums and galleries that Sue Andy touched on in her introduction. The burgeoning industry evidenced in Manchester during the late 18th and 19th centuries, as well as related businesses such as banking and insurance, meant that Manchester and indeed Britain's economy went from strength to strength. Eager to demonstrate that Manchester was not only a place of trade and commerce, but also of culture and taste, a network of cultural institutions grew up to which industrialists and businessmen patronised and contributed collections. So it was these histories, these connected histories, that motivated my curation of the Commerce and Collecting installation. As Alan discussed a minute ago, I wanted to juxtapose valuable watercolours by the artist J.M.W. Turner, which were actually bequeathed to the Whitworth Art Gallery by cotton industrialists and their families, with an image of black cotton workers from the American South. The connection between the exploitation and the enormous wealth amassed through slave-grown cotton being therefore made clear. The objects and the artworks which have been displayed in the Collecting and Commerce installation reveal the interconnectedness that exists between these histories of slavery, slave-grown cotton, and Manchester's industrial and economic growth, whilst also demonstrating the city's desire to be this centre of culture and collecting, as well as commerce. And I think also, just to say, I think it's quite interesting that 2007 also happens to be the 150-year commemoration of the Art Treasures exhibition, which of course was full of a palace full of artworks and other treasures. And if you look through the list of people who donated, subscribed and made the exhibition possible, and also all the artworks in it, you know, the majority of those were industrialists. So I wanted to show, as well as these objects of fine art, I also wanted to show how other objects from the collection here at the Whitworth, as well as other institutions in Manchester, such as the Manchester Museum, contain objects which we might not immediately think of having connections to this topic. As the world's first industrial city, shaping and being shaped by this economic growth, the Whitworth Art Gallery and its connections echoes the city's 19th century regional and global connections. Embedded in this are its links to the transatlantic slave trade. And the objects I used to demonstrate these links in the installation include an African war drum, which is how it's described in the accession registers at the Manchester Museum. Now, this war drum is supposed to have originated from a place called Ilorin in Nigeria, and dates back to the 1890s, where it was supposedly collected and then transferred to the Salford Museum. And this is an amazing object because it consists of a drum, but around the middle, and you can't miss it, is a very bright piece of pink fabric emblazoned with kind of flower motifs. And it's very likely that this was actually made in Manchester, transported out to Nigeria, where it was somehow, via a complex web of transactions and who knows what else, became an integral part of this object. So that's one that's on display. And next to that is also a piece of printed cotton from the Whitworth Art Gallery collections here, and this dates to around 1830s, by which time America had become the major, the slave plantations in America basically gave over 88% of Manchester's raw cotton. So again, we've got a piece of cotton in the textile in the collections, which is very likely to be made from slave-grown cotton. So just showing these different connected histories on both sides of the Atlantic, really. So Manchester's position as the world's first industrial city was inextricably linked to slave-grown cotton. The economic legacy of the slave trade remains evident in the city through its historical landmarks, such as the Royal Exchange, the Free Trade Hall, and most recently the Cotton Bud Fountain, which was unveiled in St Anne's Square in 1996. The histories of Britain, Africa, the Caribbean, and the Americas have been intertwined for so long that it is inevitable that stories relating to these histories are reflected by objects and collections in Manchester's museums and art galleries. I believe that it is vital for research such as that has taken place as part of this exhibition to continue to be undertaken into the collections to bring these meanings to the surface, and for institutions to confront these issues within their displays and educational programmes. What is particularly important, as I see it, is that we continue to use museums and galleries to open up this dialogue and to raise questions about our shared past, present, and of course the future.